Why do people still follow Krishna? Not just inside temples or scriptures, but in moments of deep doubt, in quiet grief, in those spaces between two impossible choices, when we reach for something beyond logic, something beyond fear, something even our own minds can't explain. Because deep inside every human being, there is a need to believe in something higher. Not just for comfort, not just for hope, but for meaning, for connection to something larger than survival. And Krishna didn't just speak to that need. He stepped right into it. He didn't offer a system or a set of rules. He offered himself. He said, whenever truth begins to fade, whenever balance is lost, whenever dharma is forgotten, I will come. I will take form. I will meet you where you are. And the world listened. Because when Krishna walked among people, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't try to impress anyone. He simply carried such clear presence, such deep stillness, that people began to question the way they saw everything else. They didn't follow him out of fear. They followed because something inside them recognized something in him. Something whole. This wasn't about control. It wasn't about blind faith. And it certainly wasn't just about religion. It was about what happens when a human being becomes a mirror, one so clear, people see their highest self reflected in it. Krishna became that mirror. In a world full of confusion, he moved without being shaken. In a world filled with power games and noise, he smiled with clarity. And when people looked at him, they didn't just see a teacher or a prince or even a god. They saw someone who wasn't afraid of death, who wasn't chasing approval, who didn't need to prove anything, because he already knew who he was. And that certainty, that deep knowing, pulled people in. Because most of us are not that certain. We wake up unsure. We move through life hoping we are doing the right thing. Hoping we are seen. Hoping we are enough. But Krishna didn't live from hope. He lived from knowledge. He knew what we really are. Not the body, not the fear, not the confusion, but the quiet witness behind it all. The soul that simply observes. And when someone lives from that place, not just talks about it, but lives it, something inside you starts to wake up you. That's why people followed him. Not because he demanded it, but because his presence reminded them of something they had forgotten about themselves. He didn't need an army. He didn't need a throne. He didn't need to shout. He simply became the truth. And truth doesn't chase attention. It attracts it. And there's more to it than that. The people who followed Krishna weren't weak. They weren't lost. They weren't looking to be saved. Many of them were kings, fighters, thinkers, doubters, people who had seen what the world offers and still felt a quiet emptiness inside. A hunger that no success could fill. And in Krishna, they saw something different. Someone who lived in the same world, dealt with the same chaos, but played the game from a different level. A level where actions weren't driven by reward. A level where detachment wasn't cold. It was full of love. Because that's what made Krishna different. He never asked people to follow blindly. He asked them to look inward, to ask why they wanted what they wanted, to question their fears, and then to act. Not out of emotion, but from clear awareness. When he told Arjuna to fight, he wasn't encouraging violence. He was guiding him back to purpose. He didn't say, "Do what I say." He said, "Remember who you are." And that's why people followed. Not because of fear, not because of power, but because Krishna helped them remember something sacred within themselves. That kind of presence doesn't create followers, it creates devotion. Not the fragile kind, not the blind kind, but the kind that survives time. The kind that grows even in silence, even in doubt, even through generations. Because Krishna never placed himself above others. He never made the divine feel distant. Yes, he was divine, but he laughed with friends. He danced in the forest. He shared food with the poor. He teased, he played, he sat with the broken without judgment, and walked beside the powerful without pride. In doing so, he brought the divine closer to the human. Because at the heart of every person, behind the arguments, the doubts, the pain, is one deep desire: to feel close to something that doesn't fade. To believe that life is not just chaos. That pain has meaning. That longing is not weakness. That mistakes don't take away our worth. And Krishna answered that longing, not with force, not with noise, but with presence. He didn't offer easy answers. He didn't silence difficult questions. He gave people space to bring their whole self, their joy, their sorrow, their confusion, and then, from there, he showed them something deeper. He said, "You are not this fear. You are not this failure. You are the quiet light behind it all." And when someone lives from that truth, not just preaches it, they don't need followers. They create remembrance. They help others remember that they, you, are part of something eternal. That they, you, carry something sacred. That kind of realization doesn't fade. It becomes devotion. And Krishna never needed to build a movement. He built mirrors, people who carried his truth not only in their words, but in the way they lived. He gave people something the world often takes from us: the right to believe in something beyond survival. He gave them a reason to stand up again, even when they had nothing left. A reason to act with love, even when it hurt. A reason to walk forward, not for reward, but because it was right. That is the power of higher faith. It doesn't promise an easy life. It doesn't erase doubt. But it gives you a center, something to return to when everything else falls apart. Krishna knew this. That's why he came, not to control us, but to show us what it means to live with joy, with depth, and with unwavering connection to something timeless. And maybe that's why people still follow him, thousands of years later. Not because someone told them to, but because, in the middle of all this noise, his life still touches something quiet inside us. Something we forgot we were searching for. Something that whispers, even now, you are not alone. You are not lost. You belong to something sacred. And you always have.